This is Anil with a video tutorial for the Learning Light on C programming. So in this video tutorial we're gonna see the for loop. Similar to the while loop we have used in the last tutorial, we can use this for loop also, just for the looping purpose. So let's see the syntax of this for loop. So I'm gonna copy and paste it. So to use the for loop you have to use the keyword for, then a pair of parentheses, then a pair of curly braces. So within these curly braces you have to write the statement that you want to execute repeatedly. So here within this parenthesis you have to write 3 statements. So first you need to initialize a counter variable. In the while loop also we used a counter variable and we used it outside the while loop, but here in the for loop we need to initialize it inside this for loop. So next you have to write the condition or the expression. So until this expression or condition satisfies or it evaluates to true, the statements inside this for loop will be executed, and once this condition becomes false, your for loop will be terminated. And the next thing is you need to increment or decrement the counter variable. So it's similar to the while loop where we just incremented our counter variable in if you skip that, then our program will be in the infinite loop. So let's see how we can use this for loop in our program. So here for the demonstration purpose we're gonna print the number from 1 to 10. So the first thing is we need a variable to use as a counter variable. So I'm gonna create a variable and let's call it I, or counter. You can name it anything you want. So the next thing is you're gonna write our for loop. So first we need to initialize the counter variable. It's gonna be counter equal to 0, add a semicolon. Then we need to write the test condition or the expression. It's gonna be counter is less than or equal to 10. That's because we want to run this for loop until this counter value is less than or equal to 10. So the next thing is we need to increment or decrement the counter. So here we want to increment it. That's because if you increment this counter value, then it will be greater than or equal to 10 at some time. Otherwise this condition will be always true and our program will be the infinite loop. So that's why we're gonna increment it counter plus plus. So now within this for loop we have to write the statements that should be executed until this condition satisfies. So we're gonna use a printf statement and we're gonna write %d and we're gonna refer the counter variable. So I'm gonna save it, compile it and run it. So as you can see here we have printed the number from 0 to 10. Now that's because we initialized our counter value to 0. So if we initialize it to 1, then it's gonna print the numbers from 1 to 10. So I'm gonna close it. Another thing I want to teach you is if you want to initialize more than one variable here, you can do that, but you have to add a comma, then you have to write the variable initialization. Let's say we have a variable I, and if you want initialize to 100, you can do it here. And here also if you want to increment that variable, you can do that. But make a note that here this condition part you can only write one statement. So if you want you can use this logical or the comparison operators together. So I can write and or then write another expression here. Let's say I is greater than 0. So this is a statement, or this is one statement. That's why we can write it. So here as you can see we can use this logical operator to combine the conditional statement or the expression. So the last thing I want to teach you is you don't want to initialize any variable here and you can skip it, but make a note that we have to add a semicolon. That's because only a semicolon is also a valid statement in C. So if you want to skip this, you can do that. Just remove the statements. That's it. And if you want to skip this, you can do that. So now we have a infinite for loop. So within this for loop, we have to test for some condition, and then by using the break statement, you can exit the loop. So here I'm gonna initialize it to 1, and inside this for loop, when this counter value becomes, let's say, 5, we're going to break it. If counter equal to 5, break. So here it's gonna be counter plus plus. Save it, compile it, and run it. So as you can see here, we have printed the numbers from 1 to 4, and when this value become 5, we just break this for loop. So this is it. This is about the for loop in C. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next tutorial.